I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
Ooh.
Oh. Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome
to
back.
Dumb Witch Club.
Boudoir edition.
I totally had that voice. Like,
I
even
know.
from the beginning, even the way I said my name.
I know. So this episode is about sex magic.
Sex magic.
And we are going to be infusing every bit of sex and magic into this episode.
Can they handle it?
Start to finish.
We'll
find out.
Start to finish. I like
right.
what you did.
You
That
heard
was
it.
great. I like what you did there. Awesome.
I also want to say, we are going to do that.
Sure.
And this isn't separate from that, but it's sort of separate from that. We have gotten so much amazing feedback for our last episode.
We have.
New Sign Hootis Virgo edition. We just want to say, for one, thank you for the awesome feedback.
Yes.
And secondly, if you haven't actually seen that one yet, I know we say this all the time, but that one really is worth watching. It's really different.
It is really different. Yes. And Virgos have been happy with it, which makes me happy.
I know. I am so happy that Virgos are happy.
I know.
No sarcasm at all.
No, not at all. I feel like we did a good thing.
I think so.
Not congratulating ourselves too much about it. But
No, but we did.
we did.
So, yeah.
That's cute.
A
Check
pat
it out.
on the back from a Virgo is a very valuable thing.
It is.
Yeah.
They don't give those out very often, I would say.
No.
So.
I know.
Oh, cute.
So, let's kick off this sex magic episode with a card pull, per usual. But I think this is not an actual first in the history of the show, but it's a rare occasion that Jackie brought the Oracle deck.
I love it. I'm so excited.
Because usually Ashley does. But this obviously goes on our theme. This is called a Pleasure Oracle. And it's a little different than a classic Oracle deck, as in it's not just, words and symbols. Hello, come out, friend. There we go. It has, activities and
that's cool.
actions, and there's still reflections on each of them, too. So it's a little bit different. It's kind of more action-oriented,
That's
I
really
would
cool.
say.
I don't think I've seen this one or really played with this one very much.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. There is, as usual, really nice artwork. Do you want to pull or do you want me to pull?
I'll pull.
Okay, great. Awesome.
I think it'll be cool because I haven't interacted with it too much. So
See, and this one's also a little interesting because all the text is on the back and all the art is on the front. So you don't have, you can see the art that you're pulling.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way to, how we were talking about in the last episode,
Yes.
you can either look at the fronts or look at the backs. And if you look at the back, most cards are identical.
Yeah.
This, not so. So
That's really, really cool. So it's just the imagery that you're drawn to, which I really like.
yes.
Cool.
Yes. So, that being said, I don't know how much super mixing it needs because you kind of are free to kind of glance through it all yourself.
Okay. I'm for some reason drawn here. So I'm going to choose this one.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know how well that will show, but we can always post it on the Instagram.
Yeah, let's read. So
Yeah.
this says, hungry like the wolf.
Uh-oh.
Inside you is a yearning, ravenous beast. It is filled with insatiable lust, greedy and grasping for carnal embrace. We can often be afraid of this creature and its cravings. Religions have been built on less, but our hunger remains. It lies in wait until we're brave enough to unlock its door, but unlock it we must.
I love that.
And then there's sort of an action item that goes along with this, which I won't read, but it's pretty good.
I'll have to read it since I drew the card.
Oh, you definitely will have to
Yeah.
read it. I think you will enjoy.
I love that. I resonate with that very well.
Yes.
So I love that.
So, very good.
Cool.
I like this card pull.
It's pretty and it goes with our setup too.
Off to a good start here.
That felt nice.
Yes. Hungry like the wolf. I like it. So,
Great.
anyway, this deck is fun and beautiful.
Yeah, it's really pretty. I really like it. I love the artwork on it.
And this also, it has 52 cards, which oracle decks can have varying numbers of cards, but this is sort of, lends itself to like doing one a week if you were to embark on a journey of sexual discovery and owning your sexuality, which is what we're going to talk about shortly.
What a great tool. Love that.
That's what she said. Lots of jokes in this episode.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. You have to have humor.
Okay, before
we dive in,
you got to tell me why, though.
Okay, I'll tell you why, though.
I have some things to say about it, too.
Do you? Okay. It's not as exciting for me. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was. Maybe people would not agree with that, but I didn't feel like it was as exciting, but there's a couple of things to be aware of.
I agree. I don't think it's majorly exciting.
No. Okay, September 4th, coming up, we have Jupiter going retrograde in Taurus.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Jupiter's cool. Like, Jupiter's like, we're cool.
Jupiter's not cool at all.
Jupiter's like, I don't know. Jupiter's like,
meh.
Okay. This is how I feel about Jupiter.
Lay it out.
I feel like Jupiter is supposed to be about this, like, big picture, right? This, like, expansive.
Yes, Jupiter's
planet.
like
huge
planet.
Like, literally huge.
Yes.
But why do I always feel like it never comes at the right time that I, like, want that? I don't know.
Yes, you're right. Which is why I'm like, Jupiter is meh.
To the topic of this episode.
I know. Literally everything we say is sexual. Just so you know.
It never comes at the right time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Size doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. Timing. You have to have timing. And I feel like Jupiter is like the perfect example of like missing the mark on that. I'm always just like, really? What are you doing to me? Okay.
I know.
That's weird. I don't know. I mean, you can, okay. Here's what might be cool about it, though, because I don't feel like I hate the retrograde as much with this planet, because I feel like it slows down some of that energy of, like, the bigger picture. Like, I don't care. Like, I'd rather focus here. And I almost always would rather focus inward and intuitive.
But being in Taurus,
yeah,
it kind of lends more to that with a relation back to Venus.
Yes.
Which rules Taurus.
And I think that that's also why I'm not too, like, pressed about this, because I'm like, that's probably not a bad idea. Like, slow down, inward, think about the things you need to, like, process in terms of, like, abundance. That's something that's coming up for me recently. So I'm like, okay, I can tap into that. I do need to kind of, like, reevaluate some of those things going into, like, these new stages and seasons for me. And, I can work with that.
Okay.
I can work with it.
No, I like that.
Okay.
I also, my other thought on this is that, so Venus just went back direct out of her retrograde.
Yeah.
But Jupiter going into retrograde maintains that there are 6 planets in retrograde currently.
My goodness.
So, like, all of the outer planets, and Mercury is in retrograde now, again, as well.
Boy.
So there is a lot of this slowing down, pulling back, reflective, repetitive, resolving the ghosts of the past. There is a lot of that in a lot of these planetary energies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think it is probably beneficial to find the, I don't want to say the silver lining, but maybe it's a silver lining, but maybe just finding the personal meaning of all of that.
Yeah.
Even if it is larger scale stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can pay as little or as much attention to it as you wish to do. You can focus on the fact that it's in the sign of Taurus and sort of focus on that. Or you can focus on, where Jupiter is in terms of your personal birth chart.
Right.
Whatever kind of perspective you want to go with, or, melding the two together, whatever you want to do. It's not too bad.
Yeah, and jumping ahead a few more days, on September 8th, the sun trines Jupiter, which is a lovely sort of cooperative, connecting energy.
That's good. I like that.
And so I do think it is, like you're saying, this opportunity to really reflect in that sun personal way and in that Virgo sort of productive way on how Jupiter can maybe help you out at this time.
Good.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll do that then.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad. It's fine.
That's great.
Another main thing, we have a sun conjunct Mercury, both in Virgo.
Oh, interesting.
On September 6th.
Oh, nice.
So for me, I mean, this is just like, I don't want to say that it's like a boring thing. Mercury's always pretty close to the sun. There's a lot of conjunctions with the sun and Mercury wherever, whatever sign they're in. But I feel like this one is very much about aligning yourself and your communication in a proper way to really get your message across, get your message heard, or conversely, to really look for what somebody is saying in their communication, even if they're not doing it super clearly, but to really take the intention to try to hear with clarity too.
I like that.
Thank you.
I can see how that applies to things. Yeah, that's cool. I enjoy that.
Yeah. So, get out there, do your memos, whatever.
Write your professional emails.
Yeah. Create a professional email signature.
That's great. That's good. That's cute.
So that's why, though.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just not that exciting. It's not like there's nothing. It's just like, if you're crying or there's other things going on, it's something else besides this. Maybe all the other retrograde. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Not everything has to be exciting.
Not everything has to be exciting. Sometimes it's better that it's not. Because, But this is exciting. What we're about to do is exciting, I think.
I think so, too. We have some really big witch energy for this topic.
Yeah.
So, okay. What the hell is sex magic?
Yeah, I know, right?
Right?
It sounds, I don't know how it sounds, but
it sounds amazing.
Sounds amazing. It could sound scary.
It could sound scary. I do think that it sounds scary. I think that it and not even scary to me personally, but I think it draws up sort of images of like ancient rituals.
Yes, it does.
Where there were like naked women with like a man like strapped to a stone, like a plank, and they're like trying to get fertility. I don't know, something like that. At least for me, that's not what I plan to talk about today.
No, but I can see those like images popping up. You know what it reminds me of is one of my favorite movies, which I think is like grossly underrated, is The Burbs. Oh,
I love that movie.
It reminds me of the scene when Tom Hanks is watching that movie and then he has the dream about it, and it's like the sacrifice scene.
It's like
and there's like the tribal drums, and then he's like strapped to the thing or whatever. But in the movie, when he's watching it, it's like a woman that's like on it, and I think they're like sacrificing her. I don't know what's happening, but that's what it reminds me of. And then people are like, what the heck is that?
Well, see, and then for some reason you're describing that is reminding me of even like in Ghostbusters, like there's this weird like sex ritual, and she's like possessed, and she's being like overtly sexual. So I feel like, and there's so many examples now that are just coming to mind, where sexuality is linked with like sacrifice, like blood sacrifice, and like evil, and stuff like that. So I mean, it's no surprise that we are living in a very sex negative culture.
Exactly.
And it's everywhere, even in things that are supposed to be funny. It's still a negative portrayal.
It's a negative portrayal where it's oppressive, and then it's also like on the other side where like it's always excessively sort of like violent and dominating, and like people who are female femme presenting people, like that feels very like scary and like so it's like both things. And so I think that's why people are like, oh, what does that mean?
Yes. But I think, so how are we going about this discussion of sex magic today?
So, okay, what my basic definition of this...
Thesis statement, go.
Thesis statement for this is, sex magic is channeling energy around sex and arousal to manifest what you want.
I love that. I couldn't say it better.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that sex is wrapped up in power.
Yeah.
And it is personal power that is gained and exchanged that makes the magic that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not power over others.
Right.
It's not control over self or others.
Exactly.
So,
yes, I love that you put that in there because, yes, it's not some type of like love sex spell that you're like casting on people and exacting over people, and you know it doesn't work that way. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, I really, really love your definition.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because this is like so dumb. It incorporates the sex and the magic.
Yeah.
Hello.
Sex magic.
Yeah. Hi. Totally.
So great.
Because obviously the magic, look, I think sex is magic.
Exactly.
But I think what we're going to be talking about is more how to harness and direct that in particular ways.
Exactly.
Even though I think generally speaking, sex is magic. It's powerful.
Yes.
It's, anyway, obviously this is all my own opinion, but I think that sexuality is where, as an adult, you get to develop your identity. As a child, you're developing your identity naturally as you're growing in a million ways. And you're a sexual being from birth.
Yeah.
But you're not developing your sexuality as a child.
Right.
And I think they're different concepts.
Absolutely.
And they're both all true at the same time. But as an adult, I think a lot of times we, because of sex negative culture, we have formed an identity that is separate from our sexuality.
Yeah.
And that sexuality is something that you engage with, you know, maybe when you have to or maybe when you want to. But it's hard for some people to see it as part of who they are.
That's absolutely valid. That's a really good point. And I'm glad that you mentioned it because I think that even those who we're speaking to right now who are practicing witches or who practice witchcraft, whatever you may call yourselves, I think even that's why it makes people uncomfortable too, because their magical craft is their magical craft, and then who they are as a sexual being is like something separate from that.
Yeah.
So imagining like the two together is where like it gets weird for people. And I'm glad you said that because it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, and in fact, I think sexuality and spirituality are highly related, even in terms of certain vocabulary that overlaps. For example, the word ecstasy. Ecstasy means orgasm a lot of time, and it also means a highly spiritual, religious experience where you're both simultaneously disconnected from the bounds of humanity, but you are fully embodied in your human self at the same time.
Isn't that so rad?
It's super rad.
Rapture is another term that just came into my head when you were talking about.
Yes. So I think, you know, there is a lot of appropriate use of sexuality in spirituality. And also just have to say, it is ripe for abuse in the wrong hands.
Absolutely.
So this is why we are encouraging you all to own your own sexuality and self. Because it is not for someone else to take into their hands. Unless you're into a BDSM power exchange that is a safe, negotiated space, then give it all up. That's amazing.
Of course. But very good point. This is all about consent, and it's all about going into things with consent. It's about consent with others, certainly, but it's also checking in with yourself and making sure that you're comfortable with what you're engaging in. And if you are, great. No judgment on any of that.
Exactly. And whether you're alone or with others, you have to be good with you, and then everything's good.
And I also want to say, it's something that I had down and I felt like it was important to say, you don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to be completely self-actualized in terms of sex. or your sexuality or your sexual identity, your gender identity, any of these things. You don't have to be like 100% sure and just like, you know, everything is great and I'm just going into this completely free with abandon. You don't have to be there. Similarly to like the toxic thing that floats around sometimes about you can only be loved by another person if you truly love yourself. No, okay? You deserve love no matter where you're at with the way that you feel about yourself. And same with this. You deserve to explore this even if you aren't fully actualized there yet. You can take whatever steps you need and stop where you need to.
Well, yeah, and I think because we are all socialized in a sex negative culture, to some degree, some extremely so.
Sure.
And some less so, but still, it's there. Because of that, most of us don't enter into our sexual selves with a lot of positive, confident messaging that we've internalized.
No.
And so, and this is what I was saying about it's a place to develop yourself, is that I think you must do that for yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life.
Right.
But I think it is such an opportunity to grow yourself as a human, emotionally, spiritually. That is what's encompassed in your sexuality.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, like back to how we opened up with this, like sounds amazing. Yes. Sounds incredible. Yes. Right? Sounds scary. Yes. Sounds all of those things. And wherever you are with this topic, that's great. That's fine. That's wonderful. You're here, and that's all that matters is that you're considering it and you're opening up your mind to it.
Yes. And so, okay.
Yeah.
I also want to mention that so this is not about astrology and sex today.
Right.
That's kind of a separate topic that we might cover at some point because it's super fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I like it.
But I did want to mention a couple of things, which are there are houses and planets that are sort of associated with some of like your sexual and sensual energies. So those would be like the 8th house and Pluto. And I would say, you know, it gets a little iffy because in the 7th house, we're talking about relationships, which might or might not be sexual, you know.
That's true.
And then in the 2nd house and Venus, we're talking about sensuality, which is physicality. So these are some places you might want to look at in your chart, see, you know, what signs are there for you with those houses or even those planets, Pluto and Venus. See where they are for you and just kind of maybe start to get an idea of the flavors that you might be drawn to, that might show up there, or maybe things you haven't considered that you might get insight into.
Ooh, what a little like treasure, like hunt, like go through your chart and see what's in there.
Totally.
It's cool.
There's stuff.
I like that.
I know.
I mean, you can go through your chart and look for whatever energies, but this is a very like cool one. This isn't one that I hear talked about a ton.
No, because people don't feel comfortable talking about this stuff.
Exactly.
And there's many good reasons and there's many not good reasons why people are uncomfortable with this subject.
Exactly.
Yes. But okay, wanted to mention that.
I love that.
Go ahead.
What else? Well, another thought I had, and this is something that I thought people might be thinking. Sex magic doesn't necessarily have to be magic that's about sex.
Okay.
Right?
Tell me more.
Because I think sometimes even like that, just the phrase together, people think like, oh, well then that's like spells around the idea of sex or the concept of sex or the act of sex or something like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that though. It's using the energy around sexuality, arousal, sex, but it doesn't it's not necessarily, that's not necessarily what you're manifesting or what is going on.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying.
It could be, but you could be manifesting for something else, some other desire-based outcome that really has nothing to do with sex or the act or you as a sexual person, but you're using the sexual energy in order to manifest those desires that you have.
That is a really good point. So in this sense, you're really just talking about sex as an energetic gateway.
Yeah.
And when I say just, that's not a just. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, this might be an area, you might already know. This might be an area where you are very comfortable and, like, the energy is palpable because, let's face it, it is. I mean, it is. It's some of the strongest energy that you have at your disposal. And you need absolutely nothing, basically, for the most part. You can add things, but you don't, other than yourself. So I was just thinking that, like, people might think, oh, well, this is all about, like, what you can do sexually that's, like, magical. Yeah, that's a great thing. That's a cool thing. That's a thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that.
No, I love that. I think, we are not going to be telling you, like, about specific positions that are magical. No. Like, that's not really what this is.
No, that's not what this is. They're like, click.
Hilarious. I know. They're like, and
Never
also, we are not going to have sex right now either.
No.
So, sorry. If you made it this far hoping that's what was going to happen, I'm really sorry to disappoint you. Should have saved it till the end.
Unfollow.
Yeah, seriously.
Whatever.
No, that is really good. And I think that what we are tapping into, as all magic taps into, is energy.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think sexual energy is palpable between people.
Yes.
When they have it towards each other.
Oh, yeah.
But also just within yourself at times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to direct it towards anyone.
No, you definitely don't.
You can keep it all.
Oh, yeah. And you can direct it towards whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be a thing. It can be an idea. It can be a thing.
Yes.
Whatever.
No, exactly.
It's pretty cool.
So, okay, there is a little bit of down and dirty, though, that I think that we do have to talk about.
Let's do it.
Which is, like, pleasure. And sex is pleasurable.
Yep.
At least it should be. If you have pain or other hurtful things, sexual trauma, you might have trouble accessing pleasure in a lot of ways, not just sexually.
Absolutely.
And that is obviously something we're not going to get into, like, how you treat those things specifically. But if that is the case, please seek out doctor, therapy, etc., because you deserve to be able to access this part of yourself.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're any less magical as a person if some of the things that we're talking about are not resonating and really do feel like, oh, I'm, not sure about that. That's totally fine. Like I said, you meet yourself where you are. And if you feel like Jackie said that that's a place that, like, you don't want to be and you wish that it was different, it can be different. You can find someone who can really affirm that for you and help you through that.
Yes, definitely. So that being said, as sort of just a caveat to all of this, but I feel like I almost lost my train of thought, but I also, because of that, I wanted to add, it's also very valid to be asexual.
Yes, absolutely.
And to be a human existing on this planet who does not feel sexual desire.
That's right.
Or desire to engage with others or even within themselves. Completely valid. Like, and again, if that's you or someone you know, we're not talking to you trying to get you to be some different way.
No.
It's a perfectly valid way to be. And there's still a lot of energy that you can access within yourself.
Totally.
Regardless
There's
of
so
that.
much. Yes. And anybody who tells you that you're any less than for being that way or that you're not as magical or anything like that, they're lying to you. They're just lying.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, okay, all of that out of the way, back to the down and dirty. So sex is about pleasure, and it's about a building up of, I think most cultures, spiritual cultures that recognize sexuality in a more positive way than ours generally does, ours being broadly America.
Right.
It's just a type of heat.
Yeah.
And it's a heat that you are generating in your body and in your mind when you are thinking about sexual expressions or activities or sensual expressions or activities. And obviously this builds physically in the body, and it builds to sometimes an orgasm. Not everyone can access orgasm very easily, but every human body is capable of orgasm. An orgasm happens in your brain, not on your body parts.
Right.
So if you have not yet figured that out for yourself, I encourage you to do so, because there's tremendous power in all of the energy leading to that. And that's not like a peak experience. Sometimes people think it is, and then they stop there, and that's fine. But you can go beyond that. You can go around that. And all of it can be building up this heat and intensity.
Absolutely.
And that is energy. That is magic.
It is. And it's super magical because it involves your absolute entire body and mind. Just every part of your whole entire being is involved in that and is focused on that, because you kind of have to be in order for that to feel the way that it's supposed to. So that's amazing, because we talk a lot about tapping into different energy centers.
Yes.
And sort of like what to do and visualization for those things. And this is like an it's every energy center you've ever experienced, even some that you didn't know you had.
Yeah. Hopefully, right?
Yeah, that don't have a name, but they're there. Yeah.
Totally, totally. And I really like also getting more in terms of like sort of ritualization, not in that blood sacrifice ritual way, but just, I think there can be a lot of rituals involved in sex that some of them are just about yourself. Like, I think there can be, and you don't have to do this every time, all the time, but I think there can be a lot involved in preparing yourself for a special sexual encounter. And that could be with yourself or with another person.
Yeah.
But I think it involves like grooming
and
hygiene and bathing and spraying oils and perfume and fixing yourself up. Like, I think there's a lot of magic and energy built with that too.
Yes.
And becoming unto yourself inside, but expressing that on the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that can almost be like a ritual, stuff that you do to prepare.
It is a ritual, like whether you recognize it as that or not. Even people that aren't practicing magic or they don't think that they're doing this, like, hate to tell you, you are. If you're doing any of that, you're doing ritual.
Yeah. Makeup is a ritual.
Yes.
You know?
And there is so much ritual around sex. So much of it. Like, more than probably any other part of that person's life, whether they realize it or not, is around that.
Yes. And it can be about your physical body, like preparation like that. There can be things like preparing a room in a special way, or in not even special, but just a functional way. Sometimes you have to move things around, or, you know, things like that. All of that really is ritual.
Totally. And that's a great thing to mention too, because I think a lot of people do it, but they maybe don't recognize that they do. So if there's times where you're like not really feeling right about it, or you're not really sure, maybe being more mindful of the ritual that takes place before you engage might be a good thing to think about. Maybe there's parts of it that are not serving you, or there's things you can do that would make it better and serve you better.
Totally
and perhaps that's even just thinking about it in terms of it building up, like Jackie described. Maybe even just like placing emphasis in your mind on that will help that to feel that way for you.
Yes, that is stellar advice. Very good. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome.
It means a lot coming from you. So.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, you're like the expert, so.
Yeah, well, that is actually true, but not super relevant to this.
No, not, but still.
But it is. It's not relevant to Dumb Witch Club, but it's relevant to this episode. Very vague sounding, very confusing here.
Yeah, I'm sure they get it.
Yeah, anyway, hit me up if you want to know more.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
Okay. So one of the other things I was trying to think, like, how are people going to approach this topic, and what are they going to be thinking? What would I be thinking if I didn't know? One of the other things, and I think you kind of touched on it, but just to mention it in like a slightly different way too, it doesn't have to be about eroticism or erotica or erotic in any way. It doesn't have to be quote unquote kinky or any of those things. If you like those things and they turn you on, fantastic. I love that for you. if you don't resonate with that, it can be softer. It can be sweet. It can be nice and kind. And there's nothing, I hate, one of the worst terms that I hate when we're talking about this topic is the word vanilla. I can't stand that. It's so dismissive and degrading.
I mean, I know what you're referring to, and I can totally understand that. But also, like, vanilla is freaking delicious.
I know.
So, like,
I know.
You know, it hits the spot.
Yes.
If you want an ice cream and you're having vanilla, like, that's good.
Yes.
It's yummy.
Yummy. It's all good. And I think there's this, like, you know, going back to you talking about, like, the sex negative culture that we all interact with. It's an aspect of that where it's this idea, right, that your neighbors behind closed doors are doing all kinds of things that, like, would put you to shame. They're not, probably. So don't worry about that. Whatever is pleasurable and sexy and sexual to you is the thing that is valid, and that's what we're describing here.
Yes, and actually when we get to spell of the week, I'm going to get a little bit more into a few different sort of synonymous terms, but terms that are actually meaning different things relating to what you're saying.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool.
So I will leave that for now for later.
Okay, good. I like that. Yes.
I also want to talk about a concept called positive entitlement.
Ooh, I love this. Yes.
And this is basically the idea that you cultivate within yourself an entitlement to pleasure, to sexuality,
I love it,
to joy, that you become entitled, that you approach the people in your life that you engage with these matters in a way that sort of commands you deserve to have pleasure. You deserve to be prioritized. You deserve to have the kind of sex you want to have, whatever that might look like.
That's so damn good. It's so... We could literally just say that, and that could be the entire thing.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling with this or you're not sure about this, I would encourage you to focus exactly just what Jackie said, and that's it. Out of everything that we say, besides the consent part, that, start there. That's magical in and of itself. Even if you, and I'm literally making this up off the top of my head, even because I just did it, even if you just write that word down, letter by letter, and you, I don't know, make a glyph out of it. If you write it on paper, fold it towards you, burn it, keep it in a jar. I don't know what, but just so that you can work on that, because that requires work. That's going to require work for so many people that are listening or watching this. That in and of itself is going to feel exciting but uncomfortable, but all of these things. And I think that is like such a key place to start, because you will be able to go forward in so many directions if you're able to get behind this concept for yourself.
Yes, I agree. I think it's a foundational concept when it comes to accessing, well, your sexual magic, but also magic through sexual energy.
Beautiful. Just gorgeous.
Thank you. It's so funny. That was one that I wrote, and I was like, oh, am I going to say this? Like, am I going to be able to have that come across correctly? So thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, I believe so. That came across unbelievably to me. I think that is, it's because it transcends everything, right? It's not even just about the physicality, though that is interwoven in, but it just transcends everything. It's shifting your whole consciousness and your whole mindset around, what you deserve and what you're entitled to. And like, I feel like that's really important when we're talking about this type of magical practice too, is like, it really is more than just your body. It is a consciousness shift.
Yes. And I think that especially, I was going to say, when you're engaging with others or not, but especially when you're engaging with others with your sexuality, you need to be prioritizing yourself.
Yeah.
And of course, it is also hot to get someone else off and to be part of that experience. And I put that sort of in quotation marks because everyone's responsible for their own experience in sex. And, you know, speaking up about what they want that to be. And when both people are doing that, that's when you can have a really beautiful exchange of equally powerful energies.
That's such a great point. And if you, I mean, we're coming from like a certain perspective, and obviously being socialized female, I think that's, you know, sort of the perspective we're coming from. But if you're listening to this or watching this and you're actually on the opposite end and, you know, you've never really thought about the other person and you really have been sort of prioritizing what you have thought is the satisfying part of sex and engaging in it, maybe try asking those questions. Maybe try, you know, perspective taking like a little bit more. It might unlock things that bring you so much more joy and pleasure that you've never thought of because you haven't asked for feedback or been open to other things, to your comfort level, of course. But
yes. And I think that's where sometimes like positive entitlement that I was talking about, which I think is very powerful, but clearly there's a lot of negative entitlement that already exists with certain people.
Heck yeah.
And so we want to counter that, and if we can come to the self-awareness that maybe we have engaged in negative entitlement, we can make that power shift and empower the other person. So,
which is just like you said, empowering the partnership.
Yes,
as well.
Indeed.
That's amazing, and I'm glad you reemphasized the positive part of that.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
I was like, entitlement, and then I'm like, wait.
Yeah, no, but it's true.
Hold on.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'm just reiterating the same point, but I think, you know, owning your sexuality, owning the energy and the power that comes with that, using that energy to grow yourself with intention, using that energy to release negative energies from your body.
Love it for that.
I think that is very possible and very healthy.
Very healthy, scientifically speaking, healthy.
Yes, like physiologically healthy.
Spiritually
healthy too, you know?
Which, amazing, right? That it's both. I don't think that can be understated, like overstated. I don't think that can be overstated. That's amazing that it's something that's equally healthy in both ways. There's not a lot that is like that.
No, it's true. And it's really, it's emotional, it's psychological, physiological, spiritual, like it's everything.
It's everything. It can be like, we're speaking about it in terms of like a manifestation modality mostly, right? Like how we're sort of using the energy, directing the energy, like certainly, right? But it's also a healing modality.
100%. That cannot be overstated either.
Right. And that means anything that you need it to mean.
Anything that you need it to mean. Yes. I think you can heal your sexuality through your sexuality.
Yes.
I think you can heal lots of disappointments and hurts through your sexual experiences, again, with other people or with yourself. And I think the role of, you know, we talk about self-love and self-care a lot, and we don't often explicitly make that sexual, but it absolutely can be, and I would venture to say should be. Yes. It should be part of what all of that is for you.
Yeah.
Especially if you've had negative experiences, especially if you've been under the weight of a lot of repression and oppression from sex negative culture or other religions or your family or what have you.
Totally.
Starting small and sweet and gentle and getting to know and love like the very unique parts of your body and your mind. It's a really, I was going to say like awesome in the truest sense.
Yes, like
awe-inspiring, which is almost related to fear. You know, it's like
true.
This sense of just being so amazed at something that you're almost sort of struck, frozen by it. But that you're doing that with yourself, for yourself. And it's something that you go through and you grow through. And it's just, I don't know. It's profound.
And it is profound. And it connects back again to what you were describing at the beginning with the words that are associated with spirituality. Awesome and awe-inspiring is another one of those. Being awestruck, you know, sort of in like a religious sense or like a spiritual sense by, you know, a deity, a creator, whatever. Like that's embedded in so much. And like just the idea, like it almost makes me emotional. Like the idea that you can do that for yourself, like elevate yourself to goddess status.
Yes, and you can encounter the goddess that is you within you.
Damn. That's just like something. Like I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. But it's incredible. And if you haven't, maybe you're doing these things, but I don't know if you've stopped to think about that. I just don't know if you have. And if you have, that's amazing. You're way ahead of me.
Keep doing it.
You keep doing it. Keep going. But if you haven't, don't do any of this and just do that. Don't do any of this and just do that. And that is just amazing because it's so true. Whoever you are, it's true.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we say goddess, and I know that's sort of a gendered term, but it has no gender. No. It really doesn't.
No, no, because they don't have, no, there's no gender to it.
Yeah, no, not at all. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I really, truly could go on and on and on about this subject.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like that's all we can handle for now.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Wow. That was like so nice.
So that'll wrap up our big witch energy.
That was some big witch energy.
I know. I need a cigarette.
I know. Totally.
But wait. Spell of the week.
Oh, I'm ready. Are you kidding me? I'm ready. I like left space. It's like a whole thing.
Okay, so this spell of the week, again, I have this vision for the spell of the week that you're going to be in a bath, which means you're naked and you're surrounded by warm, sensual water.
I'm all, like that's a surprise.
She's like, oh, you get naked in the bath?
Oh,
really?
Interesting.
Yeah, so this spell, I called it touch me.
Oh, I love that.
So you're going to be in the bath, and if you can't get in the bath, fine. Don't get in the bath. You can still do the rest of it.
I don't have a bath.
That's okay. It's okay. You can still do it. Get somewhere comfortable where you can be naked still. That's kind of part of it, is being naked.
I can do that part.
You can be in the dark if you're not comfortable being in the bright light with yourself in that way, or just because the dark feels fun and enveloping, you know?
Sure.
But you can have your candles, your music, your oils, etc. You've done the little ritual to set up the scene. That's all part of the spell. Okay. But sort of the unique part of this for being in the bath is that I actually want you to bring a pen, pencil, and paper in.
Oh.
And even if it's dark and you can't see that well, you're going to think about things that for you are sexual, sensual, erotic, or romantic. And those are 4 different categories.
Okay.
And I think you can make up your own definitions of what falls into each category. But try to think about how these are separate energies within the sexual energy. Explicitly sexual, sensual, erotic, and romantic.
Okay.
And you're going to think about those 4 things. And you can list however many things come to mind under those 4. And I want you to think about the qualities that you're bringing and that you seek in someone else to bring.
Oh, okay.
So I always encourage writing, and even if it's just bullet points or scribbled words, because I feel like it engages different parts of the brain, and then it becomes something that you can refer back to.
Totally.
But if you're really good just inside your own head, and you can just think about all of this, you can do that too. Okay. But that is the spell.
That's great.
And if you do have a paper that you've written on, of course you can keep it, dispose of it in the ways that we've talked about, like burning, I think is very, it's very hot. And, close up your bath. Maybe you thought this was going to be about touching yourself. It's actually not, but you could do that too.
Yeah, you can do that.
Invite you to do so.
You can. It's like touching your inner self.
Exactly.
And I think could be the other one too.
You can do both, and you probably should.
I love this. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Indeed.
To your spell. Might one do such a thing? And if one is not partnered up and seeks to be in some way, shape, or form, might one extend this activity to then manifesting what is written down on the paper for oneself, for another person, for both of those things.
Absolutely, yes.
Amazing.
And if you are partnered up and you do this, you might share with your partner anything that you glean from the experience, or you might invite them into the experience with you.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and
Very
have
intense.
a fun, intimate conversation
In a bath
with your partner. So anyways, lots of options, lots of ways to go about this.
I love it.
Yes, thank you.
Brilliant.
I liked it too. Whew, okay. Seriously, I don't know how I'm feeling now, but
I don't either. But it's good, whatever it is.
Super good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should probably wrap things up.
We should wrap things up. But we do want to hear from you, so let us know how things go.
Yeah, definitely. Please do. We want to hear the whole story. So until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
Yeah, stay down.
Why did I forget my line? Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner,
And Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer, creative director and culture consultant Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.